Imagine a life in which each day has a clear purpose. A life where your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions align in the same direction, with order and determination. Sounds complicated, right? But the Stoics understood that without structure, life eventually falls apart. When you lack direction, every obstacle pulls you away, any distraction takes you off course, and your emotions end up controlling you. It's no coincidence that the wise of antiquity insisted so much on the importance of self-discipline and inner order. Today I want to share with you 15 fundamental teachings of Stoicism that will help you take control of your existence. If you put these ideas into practice, not only will you stop feeling like you're drifting, but you'll begin to build a stable, focused, and peaceful life. Before we dive fully into the content, I invite you to go to the comments section and write, "Today, I commit to bringing order to my life." With this simple action, you're sealing an agreement with yourself and taking the first step toward your best version. Write it right now and make it real. And as always, if you feel these episodes bring you value, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Wake up. Your life won't organize itself. This is a truth many prefer to ignore, until the suffering becomes so intense it can no longer be avoided. We've been conditioned to wait, to trust that eventually something or someone will come to rescue us, solve our conflicts, and give us a second chance without us having to act. But the raw and direct truth is this: no one is coming to save you. There is no mentor, partner, friend, boss, or spiritual guide who can do for you what only you can and must do. The chaos you experience both internally and externally is not a matter of chance. It's the direct result of every decision you avoided, every important conversation you refused to have, every habit you knew you needed to break but kept feeding. As long as you continue to deny that you are the main architect of your current situation, you'll keep feeling trapped. And it's not a punishment, it's a consequence. That external disorder, full of unfinished tasks, toxic relationships, debt, lack of motivation, lack of direction, is nothing more than a reflection of the internal chaos you carry inside. And yet there you are, convinced that it's normal to live exhausted, confused, and empty. What's truly dangerous isn't the chaos itself, but how you start to get used to it, how your mind begins to accept it as part of who you are. This is just how I am, you tell yourself. My life has always been like this. And right at that moment, you fall into the most devastating trap, believing there's no way out. But there is. It just isn't easy, or quick, or magical. The first step is not to make endless to-do lists or read more self-help books, or wait for this rough patch to pass. The real first step, the hardest and most powerful one, is to take full responsibility for your life. Not partially, not with excuses. Fully. Everything you've tolerated, every situation you've allowed, everything you let grow because you didn't act in time, it's all there because you allowed it. Yes, it may hurt to admit that, but it's also incredibly freeing. Because if you were the one who created it, you also have the power to transform it. Marcus Aurelius understood this perfectly when he wrote that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts depends on the level of responsibility you're willing to take. You can't keep blaming your parents, your childhood, the government, your ex, traffic, or the algorithm. The day you stop looking for someone to blame out there and start looking inward is the day you begin to reclaim your strength. Not sure if you're trapped in chaos? Look at your symptoms. Then I don't mean illnesses, I mean clear signs. You procrastinate everything. You surround yourself with unmotivated people. You complain more than you express gratitude. You react instead of acting consciously. Your body feels tired with no clear physical reason. And when you're alone, you feel like you're wasting your true potential. That emptiness that silently follows you is your soul screaming for you to wake up. But you choose to ignore it. You distract yourself with food, shows, alcohol, social media, anything that keeps you from facing the obvious. Your life won't get better until you change. Epictetus said we cannot control what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to it. So tell me, are you going to keep acting like a victim, or are you going to become the protagonist of your story? Only you decide if you'll keep using your pain as an excuse or as fuel. No one is going to come lift you up. And that's not a reason to give up. It's a sign that you need to grow stronger. Because if you take the first step, if you grab the wheel, then everything can begin to change. Not because the world becomes kinder, but because you become more resilient. The world won't change, but you will no longer be the same. Today is the day to look in the mirror with no more excuses, to stop lying to yourself, to do what you know you need to do. You don't need to be motivated. You just need to be tired of staying the same. Wake up. Your life is not going to organize itself. Get up, take control, and start building the version of yourself that you've always deserved. It won't be easy, but it will be real. It will be yours. And if this message resonates with you, don't ignore it. Go to the comments and write, "Today I begin to take control." Let that be your first act of true responsibility. Lesson 2. Your schedule reflects your soul. Even if it sounds like an exaggeration, it's not. What you do each day, hour by hour, task by task, shapes without you noticing the person you are and who you are becoming. It's not what you think about yourself that defines your life. It's what you do with your time that truly makes the difference. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't really matter to you, you're giving away a piece of your existence. And you're not trading it for freedom, you're trading it for distraction, for a momentary sense of validation, for the illusion that you're making progress. There's an uncomfortable truth many people prefer to ignore. If you don't structure your day, someone else will do it for you. That someone could be your boss, social media, your insecurities, or anyone who knows how to take advantage of your lack of direction. Time, unlike money, cannot be saved. It can only be used. It's either invested or wasted. There's no third option. We've been led to believe that being busy equals success. That if you're not rushing around, constantly replying to messages, or juggling back-to-back meetings, then you're wasting time. But being busy doesn't mean being productive. In fact, many people who seem to work non-stop actually make very little progress. Why? Because they lack clarity. Because they confuse movement with real advancement. Their days aren't designed with intention, they're driven by urgency. The result? Days full of urgent tasks but lacking real impact. Weeks that feel like repeats. Years that pass with the impression that a lot was done, but little was achieved. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly centuries ago. Don't act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death is at your heels. While you're alive, while you still have time, be loyal to yourself. And being loyal to yourself starts with honoring your time. Your schedule shouldn't feel like a prison. It should be the authentic reflection of your true priorities. Most people don't plan their day, they just survive it. They wake up, and the first thing they do is check their phone, handing over their attention to the world from the very first second. From there, everything unravels. They jump from one activity to another without intention, react to what's urgent, delay what's important, and end the day exhausted, but feeling empty. Sound familiar? Then you need more than a to-do list. You need a life philosophy applied to the management of your time. And that starts with an uncomfortable but necessary question. What would my day look like if I truly respected myself? If you genuinely valued your energy, your thoughts, your goals, what would you say yes to? And what would you confidently say no to? Designing a schedule that works for you isn't about filling it with activities. It's about choosing with full awareness. It's about prioritizing what brings you closer to the life you want to build and eliminating, without guilt, what only fills space without adding value. Often the greatest productivity lies in what you choose to stop doing. Start slowly. Set aside moments to think, to create, to care for your body and your mind. Protect those spaces as if they were sacred, because they truly are. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't become part of your life. It's not enough to wish for time for yourself. You have to create it. And yes, you'll have to learn to say no without unnecessary explanations and without feeling guilty about it. Every no that comes from self-respect is actually a yes to your inner peace, your focus, and your growth. Epictetus taught that true freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from not being enslaved by the desires of others. Saying no is not selfish. It's clarity. Because if you don't protect your time, no one else will. Life is made of days, days of hours, and every hour is made of choices. If you don't choose, someone else will choose for you, and they won't do it with your best interests in mind. So look closely. Your schedule isn't just a calendar or an app on your phone. It's your soul translated into minutes. Every free space is a possibility. Every appointment is a commitment. And every day lived without intention is a day that won't come back. If you're ready to stop reacting and start taking control, go to the comments and write, "Today I become the architect of my time." That simple gesture will be your first step to reconnecting with your life and starting to live it with purpose. Lesson 3. Rituals that save lives. It's not an exaggerated phrase. It's those small moments, seemingly insignificant, at the beginning and end of each day, that determine whether you're building a life with intention or merely surviving on autopilot. The first 30 minutes after you wake up and the last 30 before going to sleep are sacred moments. They are the doors through which either the energy to guide your day can enter, or the chaos that will completely derail it. What you do the moment you open your eyes isn't a minor detail. It's a powerful statement. You're telling the world and yourself who's in control. And if the first thing you do is grab your phone, dive into messages, news, social media, or pending tasks, you've just handed over the steering wheel of your day to external forces. You've surrendered your focus before even taking the first sip of coffee. The same thing happens at night. If you end your day in front of a bright screen, absorbing irrelevant content, comparing yourself to others, or avoiding silence with any kind of distraction, you're not truly resting. You're just escaping. The Stoics understood that self-mastery begins with the simplest things. Marcus Aurelius used to start his days by reminding himself that he was born to live with virtue, not to indulge in fleeting pleasures. You too can regain control of your mind and your time if you decide to transform the start and end of your day into conscious rituals. You don't need to copy a perfect routine from a self-help book. What matters is creating your own rituals, aligned with your needs, your values, and what you want to nurture within yourself. Maybe your morning ritual is writing down your thoughts before the noise of the world clouds them. Maybe you'd rather read something that uplifts your mind, breathe in silence, stretch with intention, or simply look out the window and remember that you're alive. At the end of the day, maybe you need to release the day's events by writing what you've learned, expressing gratitude for what happened, or reflecting without judgment on how you felt. Closing the day consciously, like someone lowering the curtain knowing there will be another performance tomorrow. These kinds of rituals don't just calm your mind. They train your brain to find structure within chaos. The problem is that we've underestimated the power of the everyday. We think changing our life requires something extraordinary, a life-altering event, a shocking revelation. But it doesn't. What truly transforms your life are simple habits, repeated with full awareness. Those first and last actions of the day have a domino effect. If you start from disorder, you carry that chaos into everything else. If you end the day restless, you don't really rest. You just carry that anxiety into the next day. That's why you must eliminate distractions before they end up eliminating you. The problem isn't your phone, the problem is your relationship with it. Notifications aren't the real enemy. The enemy is your dependency on them. Every time you choose to distract yourself, you're saying, "This deserves more of my attention than my inner peace, my focus, my purpose." And repeating that every day slowly destroys your life without you even noticing. You can't aspire to a fulfilling life if you don't take control of the first and last acts of your day. Everything else may vary, your job, your relationships, your responsibilities. But those 2 moments, waking up and winding down, must belong solely to you, untouchable, sacred. Because that's where you plant the seeds of serenity, clarity, and purpose. Design your own personal ritual system. Don't copy anyone else's. Ask yourself honestly, what do I need to start my day calmly? What helps me end the day with ease? Create your formula. Protect it. Make it part of your identity. And when those rituals become a natural extension of yourself, you'll notice something amazing. Your days will stop feeling like a constant battle. They'll start to feel like something you're guiding. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer operating on autopilot. If you're ready to stop surviving and start living with real intention, go to the comments and write, "Starting today, my rituals are sacred." That will be your first step toward taking control from the only place where it all truly begins, your mornings and your nights. Lesson 4. Your environment reflects your mind. This isn't just a nice phrase, it's a truth you can confirm right now. Look around you. Observe your desk, your room, your kitchen, your car. What do you see? Mess? Clutter? Things out of place that you've been ignoring for days, weeks, or even months. That's not a coincidence, it's a visible projection of what's happening inside of you. Even if you try to justify it, even if you say that's how my creativity works, or that you'll tidy up when you have time, the reality is clear. External disorder feeds internal chaos. Every misplaced item, every forgotten corner, every postponed decision represented by an unfinished object slowly drains your energy without you even noticing. You don't feel it immediately, but you do sense it. A lack of focus, anxiety you can't explain, tiredness with no apparent cause. Your physical environment is sabotaging your emotional balance. And as long as you don't face it head on, you'll continue to feel stuck. Clutter isn't just a visual problem, it's a sign of mental unrest. The accumulation of things is often a form of avoidance. You hold on to items just in case. You keep clothes you haven't worn in years, files, papers, keepsakes that take up space but add nothing of value. And without realizing it, you're doing the same with your emotions, your thoughts, and your relationships. You postpone decisions. You stack up unfinished tasks. You maintain connections that stopped nourishing you a long time ago. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. The life of a man is what his thoughts make of it. But how can you achieve mental clarity if everything around you screams confusion? You need to take control, not from perfectionism or rigidity, but from awareness. Minimalism isn't a shallow trend. It's a practical tool to regain focus. It's not about getting rid of everything. It's about keeping only what truly adds value. The first step is simple but deeply transformative. Choose a small space, your desk, a drawer, your bag, and organize it intentionally. With each object, ask yourself, does this bring me value or does it just take up space? Do I really need this or am I keeping it out of habit? Do it without guilt, with determination, and repeat the process one area at a time. You'll feel relief, not just because the space looks better, but because your mind will start to breathe. Organizing what surrounds you is a silent declaration. You're taking yourself seriously. You're choosing not to live in visual noise or emotional noise. You're creating the conditions to direct your energy toward what truly matters. Want more productivity? Start with order. Looking for more creativity? Free up space. Craving more peace? Eliminate what's unnecessary. The mind needs structure as much as it needs freedom. An organized space doesn't mean rigidity, it means functionality. It's a space that reminds you of your real priorities. And it's not just about the physical space, you also need to organize your emotional environment. People who only show up to vent their negativity, habits that sabotage your discipline, routines you follow just out of inertia, all of that takes up space too. And worse, it takes up vital space. You can't move forward if you're carrying one-sided relationships. If every day you feed habits that pull you away from your best self, if you tolerate dynamics that no longer make sense in your life. Epictetus said it firmly. The key is knowing what depends on you and what doesn't. Your environment does depend on you, so do your choices. And by cleaning your outer world, you're making the first tangible decision to clean your inner world too. What surrounds you affects you more than you think. If every time you enter your home you feel heaviness, noise, tension, you don't need more willpower, you need less clutter. Remove what doesn't serve you, objects, people, habits. Make space for what does, what uplifts you, what nourishes you, what reminds you of who you're meant to be. Because a clear mind requires a clear space, and a life of purpose cannot bloom in the midst of chaos. If you're ready to reclaim your focus from the root, go to the comments and write, "Today I organize outside to heal inside." Do it, and start building an environment that matches the clarity and peace you deserve. Lesson 5. Plan or perish. It might sound like an extreme phrase, but it's entirely accurate. If you're not planning with a long-term vision, you're doomed to spend your life putting out fires. Your day-to-day turns into a never-ending series of emergencies you tackle without truly understanding why they came up in the first place. The most frustrating part is that even though you're constantly busy, you're not making any real progress. You do, and keep doing, but nothing really changes at its core. You feel exhausted, but not any closer to the life you truly want. Why? Because you don't have a clear direction. You're confusing what's urgent with what's important. You're reacting, but you're not designing. And it's that design, that vision, that strategic thinking that transforms a chaotic life into a meaningful one. Thinking about the future doesn't mean ignoring the present. On the contrary, it gives purpose to the now. It's about understanding that every decision you make today is either building or destroying your future self. Epictetus said it bluntly. Don't get carried away by the impulse of the moment. Reflect on the consequences. But we live in a culture that glorifies the immediate, that celebrates urgency and discredits planning. And so we end up confusing movement with real progress, obsessing over next week while forgetting that the years are built day by day. Your future self doesn't need you to be perfect today. What they need is for you to start, to think clearly, to choose with intention. Ask yourself this: is what I'm doing right now bringing me closer to or further from the life I want to build? Having a strategic vision isn't just for CEOs or leaders. It's for anyone who refuses to waste their existence. It means sitting down with yourself and asking, what do I want to achieve this year? What would real progress look like? What does a well-lived life look like to me? And once that vision is clear, you have to break it down, section it off, and turn it into practical, manageable steps. Because big goals aren't reached with willpower alone. They're reached through structure. It's useless to have annual goals if you don't turn them into monthly actions. And those monthly actions only gain strength when you know exactly what you'll do this week. Anyone who skips this process ends up trapped between two extremes: anxiety about everything they want to achieve and guilt about everything they're not doing. They know they can do more, but they don't know where to start. And that uncertainty paralyzes them. Break it down. Organize, decide. Don't do it just once. Revisit your plan each week. Adjust, correct, redefine. But don't keep improvising your life as if your time had no value. Marcus Aurelius, in the middle of wars, imperial duties, and decisions that affected thousands, still found time to reflect, write, and think strategically. You, who don't yet govern an empire, can do the same. Plan, because having a plan doesn't just give you direction, it gives you calm. It reduces mental noise. It eliminates that feeling of running without knowing where you're going. And most importantly, it reminds you that you're not at the mercy of chaos. You can choose. You can act with perspective. Thinking long-term also means learning to let go. You can't do it all, and you can't say yes to every plan, every proposal, every impulse. You must protect your energy like the finite resource it is. Because when everything matters to you, nothing truly does. Choose with clarity. Focus with intention. Every time you say yes to something without thinking, you're unconsciously saying no to something that could transform your life. The art of planning is also the art of prioritizing. And prioritizing requires courage. The courage to disappoint other people's expectations in order to honor your inner vision. Don't confuse being busy with making progress. Only those who plan, evaluate, and adjust their path can confidently say, I'm closer to my goal today than I was yesterday. Everything else is just the illusion of progress. It's exhaustion without direction, effort without purpose, plan or perish. Not because the plan guarantees that everything will go as expected, but because without a plan, you become a satellite orbiting around the urgent, the external, and the trivial. If you're ready to stop improvising your life and start building it with focus, go to the comments and write, "Starting today, my future has a plan." That will be your first step in stopping the cycle of survival and beginning to lead your life with intention. Lesson 6. What you consume shapes the way you think. This isn't a passing trend or a marketing slogan disguised as productivity advice. It's an urgent warning. Even if you don't notice it immediately, everything you consume daily through your eyes and ears is shaping your mind, your emotional state, and your way of interpreting the world. And I'm not just referring to what you eat. I'm talking about what you see on social media, what you hear on the news, what you choose to read, who you talk to, and what content you allow into your nervous system without any kind of filter. We live in an age where information overload has become a modern form of poison. And like any poison, its danger lies in the fact that it comes disguised as pleasure. You feel entertained, connected, up to date. But little by little, you become more scattered, more anxious, more addicted to constant stimulation. Haven't you noticed? Your mind no longer knows how to be still. It can't handle silence. It needs to fill every free moment with something. A video, a notification, someone else's opinion. And that's how you begin to lose the most valuable thing you have, your attention. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter of pleasure and motivation, gets triggered when you achieve something or receive a reward like a like, a new scroll, or a catchy headline. But if you're not aware, you become a slave to these instant stimuli, and your ability to focus collapses. That's why a dopamine detox is necessary. It doesn't mean eliminating technology altogether. It means retraining your mind to enjoy simplicity again. Silence, deep reading, uninterrupted conversations, focused work, without craving something new every 5 minutes. Because as long as your mind is saturated with microstimuli, it will be incapable of focusing on what truly matters. Ask yourself this honestly. Does what I consume each day nourish my mind or just fill it with noise? Reading isn't the same as mindlessly scrolling through a screen. Listening to a meaningful conversation isn't the same as exposing yourself to a sea of empty opinions. Consciously choosing what content you allow into your mind is not the same as letting an algorithm choose it for you. Epictetus wisely taught, "It's not what happens to you but how you interpret it that matters." But if your mind is filled with garbage, with empty stimuli, how do you expect to interpret life with wisdom? Start by decluttering your digital environment. Do a conscious cleanup of accounts, channels, people, and sources that only promote drama, complaints, comparison, and noise. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to comment on every viral trend. What you need is clarity, direction, to protect your focus as if it were your greatest treasure. Because in reality, it is. Big tech companies compete for your attention. Social media platforms are designed to capture it and never let go. And without realizing it, you give away hours of your life every day to content that adds nothing of value. A true conscious mental diet means setting boundaries. Screen-free times during the day, spaces without notifications, routines that prioritize what's meaningful over what's superficial. At first, you might feel uncomfortable. That's normal. You've trained your brain for hyperstimulation. But if you push through that initial discomfort, everything starts to change. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You concentrate more easily. And you feel more in control of yourself. Because the noise fades, and your inner voice becomes clearer. Marcus Aurelius, even though he never had to deal with Instagram, understood that the mind had to be cultivated with discipline. He said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of your thoughts." Today, we could say, your soul is colored by the content you consume. You can't have peace if you feed your mind with chaos. You can't have direction if your attention is constantly hijacked by distractions. You can't have clarity if every day you water the seed of anxiety with doses of cheap dopamine. If you're ready to take control of your attention and begin a true mental transformation, go to the comments and write, "I choose to feed my mind with intention." That will be your first act of freedom in a world that wants to keep you distracted. Lesson 7. Relationships also affect how you think. They don't take up physical space like a messy room, but they have the same effect on your mind: confusion, exhaustion, lack of focus. These are connections that on the surface seem normal, even necessary, but in reality are slowly draining you. They deplete your energy, chip away at your self-esteem, and scatter your attention. Sometimes it's an old friend. Sometimes it's a family member, a partner, or a coworker. People with whom you share time, but not purpose. Presences that, instead of pushing you forward, anchor you in the same place. Not through shouting or blatant aggression, but through constant micro-gestures. Criticism disguised as advice. Sarcasm that cuts deep. Emotional demands that make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. And the most dangerous part, often you don't realize it until you're already completely drained. A toxic relationship doesn't always raise its voice. Often it whispers. It manipulates subtly. It disguises itself as loyalty or commitment, but your body senses it before your mind does. You feel tense before even seeing them. You can't be yourself. You leave each interaction emotionally emptier than before. You begin to change your behavior just to avoid arguments, to not make anyone uncomfortable, to not cause trouble. That's not connection, that's emotional imprisonment. Marcus Aurelius said that you must protect your mind more than anything else, because your life flows from it. And if you're surrounded by people who sow doubt, guilt, or insecurity, your mind becomes a constant internal battlefield. The first step is to identify these relationships, not with judgment or anger, but with awareness. Ask yourself honestly, do I feel lighter or heavier after seeing this person? Can I express myself freely, or do I have to measure every word? Does this person lift me up or sabotage me with comments disguised as realism? The answers may hurt, but they are essential. Because as long as you remain surrounded by relationships that pull you apart, no plan or habit will truly work. You can have clear goals, solid habits, even a powerful vision. But if your human environment doesn't align with your growth, you'll end up stuck. And here's something essential. Set firm boundaries. It's not about giving long explanations or justifying yourself. It's about protecting your inner space. Clear boundaries, direct ones, and if necessary, final ones. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should have an open door to your emotional world. You have the right to choose who you share your time, energy, and vulnerability with. Epictetus put it bluntly, don't let just anyone pass through the gate of your conscious judgment. This is not selfishness, it's emotional health. It's self-love, and it's the understanding that your peace is worth more than any relationship sustained only by history or habit. But this isn't just about cutting off toxic ties. It's also about nurturing relationships that bring inner order. People who inspire you by example, who don't need to tell you how to improve because you see it in how they live. Relationships that don't compete with you but celebrate your wins, that challenge you with respect, that make you feel more like yourself, not less. These kinds of connections don't just bring peace, they bring direction. They help you align with the version of yourself you're working to build. Learn to surround yourself with those who bring clarity, not confusion. Sometimes that means spending more time alone, and that's okay. Better silence than the emotional noise of a poorly managed relationship. Better one honest conversation with yourself than 10 empty talks with someone who doesn't understand you. Chosen solitude is infinitely more nourishing than company that hurts. When you clean your emotional environment, your mind clears, your body relaxes, and life begins to take shape from the inside out. If you're ready to stop tolerating relationships that don't honor you, go to the comments and write, I choose to surround myself with people who align with me. That will be your first act of inner order and your peace, and we'll thank you for it. Lesson 8. Your body is also organization. Your body is not a separate accessory from your mind, nor just a vehicle that carries you from one place to another. It is your first environment, the physical space where everything happens. Your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, and your dreams. Ignoring it, neglecting it, or treating it as secondary is a mistake. one that sooner or later comes with consequences. The state of your body directly influences your mental clarity, your daily energy, your ability to focus, and even your emotional balance. You can't expect to feel calm, mindful, or mentally strong if your body is exhausted, inflamed, or disconnected from you. The connection between body and mind runs deep. When the body is active, the mind becomes orderly. Exercising isn't just about appearance or physical health. It's a daily tool for emotional and mental cleansing. Every time you move your body, you release built-up tension, generate dopamine naturally, oxygenate your brain, and elevate your mood. You don't need to train like a professional athlete. You don't have to make it complicated. Simple routines, repeated with intention, are more than enough. Mindful walking, stretching upon waking, lifting weights with focus, breathing deeply while you move. The key isn't intensity, it's consistency. Daily movement isn't a luxury or an optional indulgence. It's an act of internal organization. And just as important as moving is resting. We live in a society that idolizes constant doing, that ties self-worth to how busy you are, yet forgets a basic truth. Rest is not a waste of time, it's an investment in mental well-being. An overloaded mind doesn't need more coffee, it needs better sleep. A fatigued body doesn't need more motivation, it needs real recovery. Marcus Aurelius understood this clearly when he said we should not force ourselves beyond the natural limits of our capacity. Deep sleep, conscious pauses, moments to stop and reconnect. These are not luxuries. They are vital necessities for a structured life. And you can't talk about body organization without addressing what you consume. Nutrition is also a key part of order. It's not just about the body. What you eat directly affects your mind. Excess sugar, ultra-processed foods, alcohol abuse. These don't just harm your physical health. They sabotage your mental clarity, your focus, and your energy. Eating well is not vanity. It's a high-performance mental strategy. A conscious diet based on real foods, rich in the nutrients your brain needs, is a profound act of self-respect. Don't eat to fill emotional voids. Eat to think better, decide better, and feel stronger on every level. Your body is the container of your life, and like any container, if you don't care for it, it deteriorates. It's not about achieving a perfect physique, it's about building a solid physical foundation that supports everything else. A brilliant mind trapped in a weak body will always be limited. A powerful purpose carried by a fragile body will always be at risk. Order begins at home, and your body is your first home. You don't have to be extreme, but you do have to be conscious and move every day. Sleep with intention, eat with wisdom. Respect your natural rhythms. Design a physical routine that doesn't overwhelm you but supports you. Because when your body feels good, your mind gains space to create better, decide more clearly, and live with purpose. If you're ready to treat your body as the first step in organizing your life, go to the comments and write, "Today I begin to organize my energy from within." Your mind, your purpose, and your future will thank you for it. Lesson 9. Organize your finances. Chaotic money, chaotic life. It's an uncomfortable truth that many people prefer to ignore until financial disorder blows up in their face. Because even though money is just a medium of exchange, it affects every single area of your life. Your mental peace, your daily decisions, your personal relationships, and your ability to build a future with direction. If you don't bring order to your finances will bring disorder to you. And they won't do it in your favor. Living on the edge, counting every penny, dreading every bill or unexpected expense. That's not freedom. It's a silent prison that keeps you in a constant state of alert, anxious, and limited. And while you may say that money isn't everything, the truth is that if you don't have control over it, it's very difficult to have control over other areas of your life. The first step isn't earning more. It's not getting a promotion or launching a business overnight. The first step is creating a basic but solid system of financial organization. Knowing how much comes in, how much goes out, and where every cent is going. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, and it's discipline, it's respect for your time and your effort. Every penny that passes through your hands represents minutes, hours, days of your life invested. If you don't manage it responsibly, you're wasting your own energy. Marcus Aurelius advised treating the mind like a sacred temple. Today, we could also say that treat your money with the same reverence because it reflects your mind in action, either organized or disorganized. Controlling your finances doesn't mean living in scarcity or becoming extremely rigid. It means having clarity. It means knowing that every expense has a real purpose. Spending with intention, not impulse. Because every time you buy something to numb an emotion, to fill a void, or to impress others, you're not just losing money, you're losing control. And that loss of control, repeated in the small things, turns into complete chaos when the situation escalates. How many times have you said, "I deserve it," as an excuse to justify a purchase, when in reality you were creating future anxiety? Epictetus said it clearly. You must distinguish between what depends on you and what doesn't. Your financial decisions, they depend on you. Your spending habits, they do too. Organizing your finances also means freeing yourself from mental debt. Those commitments you've been carrying for months. Those payments you keep avoiding. Those economic promises you drag around like invisible baggage. It's not just the bank debt. It's the constant stress of knowing you owe someone something. It's that quiet feeling that you're not at peace with yourself. Every debt, visible or invisible, takes up mental space. It steals focus, energy, clarity. Freeing yourself from those burdens isn't just a financial move. It's an act of mental health. And like every meaningful change, it starts with small steps. Pay what you owe, even if it's little by little. Stop accumulating mindlessly. Start an emergency fund, no matter how small. Live below your means to build beyond your dreams. Disorder with money isn't just a logistical issue. It's an external reflection of mental patterns you need to review and transform. And when you do, everything changes. You regain a sense of control over your life. You make decisions with calm, not from fear. You invest in yourself, not in momentary escapes. You live with more dignity, more peace, more focus. Don't wait to hit rock bottom, and don't turn your life into a constant reaction to emergencies you could have prevented. Don't confuse instant gratification with real progress. Organizing your money is organizing your life. It's not about being rich, it's about being free. If you're ready to take control of your life by starting with your finances, go to the comments and write, "Today I organize my money and my mind." Every penny you take care of is one more step toward the freedom you deserve. Lesson 10. Technology, your ally or your jailer. That's how radical the choice is every day, even if you don't always realize it. Technology has the power to multiply your time, improve your organization, and make your life easier in ways that were once unimaginable. But it also has the ability to steal your attention, scatter your mind, and trap you in endless cycles of distraction. It's not the tool that determines the outcome. It's how you use it. You can turn apps and digital systems into strategic allies to help you live with more focus, more clarity, and more intention. Or you can become just another slave, trapped in constant notifications, infinite scrolling, and a so-called connection that actually disconnects you from yourself. The first step is awareness. Use technology as a means, not an end. You don't need to get rid of your phone or completely abandon the digital world. You need to tame it. Remind each tool who's in charge. Use task apps to free your mind, not overload it with absurd to-do lists. Set reminders to create healthy habits, not to live in a state of constant alert. Use calendars to design your days with intention, not to flood them with meaningless tasks. The difference is never in the device or the app. It's in your intention. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world far less noisy and overstimulated, but his wisdom still applies. Control your mind or it will control you. Today we could reframe it. Control your screens, or they will control you. Another essential act of organization in the digital age is digital decluttering. Just as you clean your home to clear your mind, you need to clean your digital space to reclaim your attention. Piled up emails, files you no longer remember, social feeds full of noise and distractions. All of that doesn't just take up memory on your devices. It takes up mental space too. Schedule it. Set aside time specifically to delete what's unnecessary. Unsubscribe from newsletters you never read. Delete apps that only steal your time. Organize your files the way you would your home. Keep only what adds value. Building a healthy relationship with your screens is essential if you want to live intentionally in the 21st century. And it's not just about how much time you spend on a screen. It's about how you use that time. Set screen-free times and zones. When you wake up, during meals, before going to sleep, reclaim moments of silence, of deep reading, of real conversation without distractions. Every minute you spend not compulsively checking a screen is an act of rebellion and of mental health. Don't expect social media or apps to respect your attention. They weren't designed for that. They were built to capture it and squeeze every drop out of it. You must protect it. Technology can be a powerful tool, but it's never neutral. It will always demand more time, more data, more attention. You decide. Will you let it drag you along, or turn it into a real ally? When used well, digital systems can be liberating. Clear lists, organized calendars, smart reminders. All of that can free your mind, help you think clearly, create better, and live more intentionally. But if you don't master them, you become a modern slave, hyper-connected, but deeply disconnected from yourself. Think of every app, every click, every notification as a question. Does this bring me closer to or farther from the life I want to build? If you can't confidently say yes, it's time to reevaluate. Because in a world where attention is the most valuable resource, those who master their relationship with technology will be the truly free. If you're ready to stop being a slave to your devices and start using them as allies, go to the comments and write, "Today I take control of my technology." The life you dream of won't be built through endless scrolling. It's built with intention. Lesson 11. Order is not linear. You fall, but you don't break. Order does not follow a straight line, and understanding this is one of the hardest but also most liberating lessons you can embrace in life. It doesn't matter how much you've progressed or how much discipline you've built. There will be days of chaos, of setbacks, of exhaustion. Days when you don't get up on time. Days when you skip your routine. Days when your mind is cloudy and your motivation is gone. And that is okay. Falling is not the problem. The problem begins when you convince yourself that falling means failure. True disorder is not in tripping, but in giving up. As long as you keep returning, as long as you keep getting back up, as long as you choose not to quit, you are still moving forward. Life doesn't demand perfection from you. It demands consistency. Learning to accept setbacks without giving up is a skill that defines your long-term growth. It's not about self-indulgence, and it's not an excuse, and it's practical wisdom. Epictetus said it clearly. It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to it. When you fall, when you break a streak, when you skip a habit, it's common to feel the urge to punish yourself, to give it all up, to think that your effort was worthless. But that story is a trap. Every fall is a chance to begin again. And conscious restarts are one of the most underestimated powers you can develop. Don't wait to feel motivated. Don't wait for everything to be back in order. Come back, restart, now with what you have, from where you are. True discipline is not hard like steel. It's flexible like bamboo. It's structure without rigidity. A tree that's too stiff breaks in the storm. A flexible one bends but remains rooted. You need a system that guides you but also allows you to adapt. Habits and routines that support you, but don't suffocate you when life gets messy. Because life, sooner or later, will. There will be the unexpected. There will be intense emotions. There will be losses, fatigue, and frustration. And if your version of order only works when everything goes your way, then it's not authentic order. True order endures even when everything around you collapses. Learn to fall better. It's not about avoiding the stumbles. It's about knowing how to stumble without dramatizing, without turning the mistake into a death sentence. Don't let a bad day be the reason you throw everything away. Don't let one slip become total abandonment. Marcus Aurelius said in his Meditations, "The perfection of character is this, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense." He wasn't talking about living without mistakes. He was talking about living with inner strength. If you failed today, learn. If you slipped today, adjust. If you were overcome by laziness, fear, or distraction, don't punish yourself. Come back. Breathe, observe, correct, restart. There is no path to order without passing through disorder. There is no mastery without falling. There is no strength without scars. Every time you rise after falling, you don't just regain what you had built. You become more resilient, more aware, more in control of yourself. Not because you stop failing, but because you stop letting failure define you. Life isn't about avoiding chaos, it's about learning how to navigate it. About building within yourself a structure so firm that, even when everything outside shakes, your decision to keep going stands strong. That is true order. Not a straight line, but a steady path full of curves, potholes, and stumbles, with conscious steps moving forward. If you're ready to stop demanding perfection and start building true strength through every new beginning, go to the comments and write, "Today I fall, but I don't break." Let your consistency be stronger than any fall. Lesson 12. Order as an act of self-love. Order should not be a burden imposed from the outside, nor a rigid structure that suffocates you. True order is born from an intimate commitment to yourself, not from the need to control everything, but from deep respect for your life. Every space you clean, every habit you sustain, every routine you choose to follow is not just efficiency. It is respect. It is dignity. It is a silent way of reminding yourself that your time, your energy, and your existence are valuable. You are not here to survive while crawling through chaos, but to build, with intention, a life that has meaning. Once you understand this, your relationship with order transforms. Tidying up is no longer just organizing, it's no longer just checking tasks off a list. It's affirming that your life matters. It's an act of presence. It's telling yourself, I deserve an environment that reflects who I am and who I want to become. Closing the day with intention, preparing your space, caring for your body, keeping your environment clean. All of it becomes a silent prayer that says, I respect myself enough to surround myself with harmony. Marcus Aurelius said we should live each day as if it were our last. So ask yourself, how would you live if every daily gesture was part of your legacy? Don't wait for only the big achievements to celebrate yourself. Also celebrate the small daily victories. Consistency is not sustained by brutal pressure, but by sincere and compassionate recognition. Honor that time you resisted a distraction. That day you chose order over chaos. That moment you treated yourself kindly. Those moments carry your journey forward. And when you celebrate your progress, you fuel your willpower. Because without joy, order becomes a prison. With joy, it becomes freedom. Turn your routines into rituals, and you don't need to create elaborate ceremonies. You just have to fill your daily actions with intention. When you wake up, instead of grabbing your phone, take a moment to reconnect with yourself. When you tidy your space, do it like you're honoring a temple. When you plan your day, do it with gratitude and meaning. When you act from love, life stops feeling like an endless to-do list and begins to feel like a masterpiece you are consciously building. Don't let your life happen by accident. Don't allow haste, habit, or randomness to dictate your path. Your existence can be a work of art, and you can be its author. Every intentional choice, every act of presence, every gesture of order is another brushstroke on the canvas of your life. You don't need to have it all under control. You just need to direct your energy toward what truly matters. The sacred isn't reserved for temples. It's found in how you choose to live the ordinary. When order is born from love, not pressure, it becomes a spiritual act, not for others to see, not for applause, but because deep down, you know that every day deserves to be lived with reverence. You deserve to live with reverence. If you're ready to turn your life into a work of art and make order a sacred practice of self-love, go to the comments and write, From today on, I make my path sacred. Because your life is too valuable to be lived on autopilot. And if you've made it this far, also write, bring order into your life. That will be your pact with yourself. I invite you to subscribe, activate notifications, and leave a comment so that the platforms understand this content could help more people like you. That's what motivates us to keep creating from the heart. Listen to the last 2 episodes. You may find exactly what your mind and soul have been needing. Sincere thanks for your time, your presence, and your support. See you very soon in our next adventure.